Like whenever we start our way towards our dreams, we start to question, like, are we capable of this? Are we even willing to put in all the effort which it might take? Are we prepared enough for it? Are we the right person to achieve it? All of those like doubts you might have, all of the expectations you also have, like the stuff which comes in your way where you feel like you should be even further than you are right now. All of these things, they just happen in your mind, in our mind. And so what I feel like this time right now, where we are all sitting at home, or like at least being locked up a little more than usual, we could use this time also to mentally train, to mentally prepare ourselves for the dreams which are waiting for us once all of this is over. Because our capacity to deal with a situation like this, like the lockdown, is the same capacity we could use and direct on our dreams later on. So if we can manage now with a positive attitude to like just look at the bright side of all this, like look at the things we might learn now, which we would have not learned otherwise. Like for me personally, I spend a lot of time juggling lately, which I probably would have not if I wasn't locked up at home. So there's always new things you could learn out of this potentially bad situation in the first place. So what I just wanted to say with all of this is just like keep in mind that most of the time it's our head, it's your mental things which are in the way between you and your success. So if you use the time and the ability now to just like work on this, like work on your positive attitude, work on your self-control, work on the mind control you also just exercise on highlighting usually, just use it to change your attitude in the morning towards something positive where you want to like look at the things in life happening which are good right now and not too much focus on the things which are not that great right now. So if we manage to like push through this, then I guess we'll all be highlighting soon again. And I mean, we're all looking forward to this moment, but what can we do right now to like get on a highline in a couple of weeks or months and be again really prepared, like be fit and be not like lacking the ability which we haven't trained in this weeks now. So I would like to like transition here into how my days look like these days, and I have prepared a little video which I just want to show you guys.
Good morning. Morning, Max. Morning, Lukas.
So this is about my usual wake up in the mornings. No, I'm just kidding. It's something which happens when I get kicked out of bed and I have to sleep on the couch, which I usually don't do. I sleep on the Slackline then. But no, just this is like a video which tries to show you what you can come up with when you're locked up at home and you have to be creative. What I just recently found out is that I can set up a Slackline in our living room quite easily by just hooking it behind the doors and therefore creating a rodeo line back at home. Another thing I'm very, very happy about these days is that we have a garden. And in the garden, I'm right now practicing mostly handstands and yoga moves on the Slackline. So I've basically come back to a few things that I've neglected in the past, and I haven't had time nor the regular time to put in to really get better and better. And I'm tracking my my time I can balance in handstand positions. So I set myself a goal for the current time, which is basically to get to hopefully a minute of balancing on my hands. I gotta say I have a long way in front of me still, because the best time I have done right now is like about 25 seconds, which is already like more than double what I've achieved before the last couple of weeks, but still a long way to go till 1 minute, I guess. So I hope you also have a garden. I hope you also have some kind of opportunity to go outside and get on a little Slackline at least. What I wanted to like put in your head is that you can also just really do very, very simple things on a Slackline, which are really hard. It doesn't need to be a handstand. Just stand in exposure on one leg. is a really tough challenge. There's a lot of like little things you can just do. Every balancing move you usually practice on the ground, like a yoga position or any other thing, you can also transition that to any kind of slackline, to a little slackline, and thereby increase the challenge by a lot. I think a lot of people right now also just come up with creative solutions to set up a rodeo line indoor. And I just dig through old footage, as you can see, as the elephant slackline is still there. And I found a video where I tried to set up a rodeo line in a hotel room, and I'd like to show you what happened there. So yeah, as you can see, it didn't really work out. And what I'm trying to say with that video is, even though you might come up with very sketchy or on the line ideas of how to set up your slackline at home, the most important part is stay safe. Like, a lot of people get hurt back at home these days because they try stuff they've never tried before. Otherwise, they do stuff which they would have never done before. So all of this has also a certain danger in itself. So stay aware and stay focused on the safety part of it as well, because that is very important in order to train and not get hurt in these days. So besides the fact that I'd like to have you staying safe, I would also like to announce or like put you towards this Activity Freestyle Championship or contest. Not sure if you already have seen that, probably do have, but this year we changed the contest format into a rodeo line challenge, because usually, like last year, it was a freestyle highline contest where we also posted just about highline freestyle challenges. But now that everyone, or like a lot of people, are not able to actually go highline, we changed it into a rodeo line challenge, which is, for me at least, more of a challenge than the freestyle highline part would be, because I'm usually not rodeo lining that much. So check out the contest and check out all the videos which are already there. There's already 3 videos out. And if you want to participate in the contest, it's only possible to enter the first video until the 14th of this month. So only a few days left. And then you have 3 weeks for every new video, which comes out every week. So you don't even have to participate if you don't want to hassle, like just putting in a video and everything. You can just like look at the videos and try the challenges yourself. Like my roommates, for example, they're doing just exactly that. They're practicing the challenges, but they're not really actively participating. Nevertheless, I'd like to like have you participate, obviously, because I think it's a cool thing. You can win some nice prizes and you can just get better as well. So indoor rodeo lining is definitely a great challenge these days, and you can do a lot. But what I spend a lot of time with is something else. It's yoga. I've done yoga a lot before this, but now it's become like even more important for me to just spend my days, especially in the morning, with my routine. And I have created, I call it the daily Slackliners routine. Obviously, it's quite advanced to some elements of it, but it's about a 30-minute yoga sequence, which you can find online. It's on my Facebook account. And it also, it's going to be in this presentation, there's a link. So later on, we'll give you the presentation if you want it. And then you can find it also with the link here. And I'd just encourage you to check it out again, and maybe just find a few moves, a few positions. You don't actually have to do all of the flow immediately. I mean, this is something obviously which took me a lot of time as well to perfect to that kind of like point. But I think there's a lot of elements in there which also work on your balance, but they also work on your hips and your flexibility, and also the strength in different positions, which is quite important. And for me personally, yoga is not only a workout or a training, which I use for slacklining specifically, but it also really is an injury preventer. Because since I've started doing a lot of yoga, I rarely ever suffered from any serious injury anymore. I actually haven't had any injuries since then, besides like the usual small hiccups, which we all get. But it really helps to be more, more flexible, which definitely brings you towards the point that the slackline can't push you so much anymore. So you don't get thrown off the line that much, or the line can't like move you in the air too much, because you're so flexible that you just like release the tension which acts on your body, and it definitely helps you to stay healthy and fit. So I'd recommend you to check out that daily routine. If you haven't seen it, I will also probably do a little more on like single exercises about yoga. And then I also found recently a video which I really want to recommend you. It's from Bor, Maciej Borowski. It's a Polish guy. I'm sure most of you know him. And he just posted a video about Chongo knee workout. So if you haven't seen it, I'll actually try to put it on my screen right now. Let's see. I have had it here. Refreshed it. Yeah, so it's on his account here, you can see it, and it's already gotten almost 3,000 views, so I think a lot of you probably already saw it. But if you haven't checked it out again, I spent like a whole
Hi guys, start the whole set with the lunge position.
this is it. I spent like half a day actually like really digging into those exercises, and a few of them are quite advanced, but I very quickly learned that my hip mobility is quite one-sided actually. So my hips are quite flexible to the outside, but my inwards mobility is pretty limited. And so I very quickly realized that a few of the exercises he has in there are quite a challenge for me, and I'll definitely spend some time working on those in the next weeks. Because as Bor explains in the video, and as he says also in multiple of his other comments and stuff, he says, is that most injuries in the knee, and I think a lot of people are suffering to some degree of pain or even serious injuries stemming from Chongo mounting, where you have a lot of force on your bent knee. So he says that a lot of those issues come actually from the hip. And for me personally, my experience was that the hip is a very, very important part in slacklining, but it is one of it's basically the center of our body. So it's the part of our body which we usually tend to lock in order to stay stable on a slackline. So we're moving a lot of parts of our body. We're moving our arms in order to prevent our shoulders from getting too sore. We change the weight on our feet. We move our feet, our legs. Like everything is kind of staying in movement while being on the slackline, but the hips are usually the part which gets locked down. So this is the part where we have to hold tension, where we stay strong and stable, and therefore we create a lot of tension in those hips. And if we don't like counter that with some training, if we don't work on this hip flexibility and also the mobility of the hip, then at some point we will suffer from it. So yoga is definitely a part which helps you with that, because there's a lot of hip mobility and hip flexibility in there, which will definitely help you improve that part. But specifically the exercises Bor is putting out in this video are very well targeted to what we do on the slackline, and they're really good. So I'll definitely recommend you guys to check out this video and spend some time trying those exercises as well. So at that point, I'd like to change back to the camera, and I'd like to give you a few more things or exercises to do. So give me a second. All right. Are we back on video? Looks good, huh? Maybe someone can just comment me, so I'm back on track with the video and you guys can see me.
You are back on track.
Perfect. Sweet. All right, so that's my room. It's a pretty big room. I'm very grateful for that right now. And there you can see a few tools which I'm regularly using these days. So if you are not lucky enough to have a rodeo line at home, or even if you do have it, but you want something else, I definitely recommend you a balance board, which is a nice tool to play around with, but it's also a nice tool to work on balance and also just the tension in legs and all of the things you need on slacklines. So it's a good training for the time coming in summer. And well, I'd like to just show you a few things I do on the balance board. So usually on a balance board, most people, they just put it on and they fall over it. Yeah. They get on it and then they try to like balance on it sideways. So this is it's a good exercise, and you can just lower down to get a little more tension on your knees and stuff. And you can do all kinds of movements here, which I used to do a lot, and I also just juggle up here and do like other things to just keep myself a little entertained on it. But what I think is really good for slacklining is if you like change the board to this way, and then you get on one leg, and you try to like balance with the other leg, and you just try to stay up here. This is a little different because it moves to the front and back, which a slackline usually doesn't do, unless it's a very long slackline and you have the humping effect of the slackline, which this actually simulates quite well. But you have the same muscles working as standing on a slackline to some degree. So I'd really like to recommend you doing that. And what I'm doing right now is also I'm trying handstand on this thing, but I haven't really succeeded well enough to show you right now. So besides the balance board, there's a few other things which I'd like to show you. I saw it on the Instagram and YouTube from Jonas Cronenberg. He's also working for Slacktivity once in a while. And he has a few exercises you can do everywhere. And they're kind of close to yoga, but they're not really. So the thing is, you stand on one leg, and then you just try to point a star with the free leg. So you just try to reach in all kinds of positions. And this is apparently quite difficult, at least for me, it's quite difficult. So you just try to like reach up with your leg as high as you can to this side, then to the middle, then to the left corner, it is for me, then to the outside, then the left back corner, reach high, then left, then straight back, and then comes the worst part for me, which is back right corner. Yeah, so you repeat that on both legs, and it's a good warm-up for slacklining, but it's also just a really good exercise in case you don't have a slackline or anything around, or you just want to do something new. Another challenge, also from Jonas, is something you need actually 4 pieces of anything for. So I use 4 little pens, and it's very similar to the one we just did right now, but so you basically reach to the front and you just place this object, whatever it is, as far to the front as you can reach without falling over. Then you use the second one and you put it to the right side, as far as you can reach. Then you also have one for the left side. And again, for me, the most difficult part is reaching towards the back. So now you can even try to just push those objects further forward without tipping over, or you just try to collect them again. So this is something which is also pretty cool. It's kind of similar to actually some tests of range of motion, they call it, but it's a fun exercise to do with friends as well, and it's a cool thing to stay fit at home. Another one which I'd like to show you is something I struggled a lot with. So let's see, you probably saw it online already because it went around quite a lot, but I couldn't believe how hard it was when I tried it the first time, and it still isn't actually that easy for me. So you just need a piece of paper, and again, you put it in front of you, and you just try to pick that up with your mouth without falling over on one leg. So there's a few ways to do it. Most of the time, it's the hardest part to get the last bit. And as you can see, it's not that easy, but it gets increasingly harder if you put the paper, for example, like this, like lower on the floor. So I heard it's also a drinking game if you use a cereal box and then you start out with the whole box in front of you, and then you basically just rip off pieces of the cardboard until you just go lower and lower. So something like that you can also just do with a few friends. You don't actually have to drink. You just do it as a regular game if you want. Obviously you can drink if you feel like as well. And stuff like that is really good exercise, good stuff to do at home. And it gives you also just a little chance of exploring your range of motion and your abilities. And it goes along well with the video from Bohr, which I just showed you earlier, because he has a lot of very similar things in there as well. All right. That daring piece of paper. Yeah. So I think that's already almost about it, what I wanted to share with you for now. Obviously, there's a lot more Slackline specific exercises you can do on the Slackline. All of the stuff I just showed you, you can also try on the Slackline. It's about one of my warm-ups now on my garden line that I do the star pointing with one leg just on a Slackline. It's a really good warm-up on the Slackline. If you can manage, it's a good warm-up off the Slackline if you cannot do it yet on the Slackline. But there's a lot of things which you can just try at home like this. All right, so that being said, I think it's about time for you to just ask me a few questions. You can obviously ask me questions about what I just said and presented, but also you can just ask me anything you would like to.